T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Hello. How you all doing? Sorry we're a bit late. That was purely down to my incompetence, basically. It all got away from me, so apologies for that.
There was some cockpit resource management and a discussion of time.
It was. Ed was doing his CRM bit there. What have we got tonight? Well, we got Simon Keeling, something for the weekend. We've got, note the lack of a decent shirt there, Simon. We've got a whole bunch of news, including some records from Piperstraw. We've got a new 80s game to bring you that we're trying out for the first time. We got Fantasy Hangar, and then we got the events that have been cancelled or not cancelled, as it turns out this week, I think. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to Simon, who's going to tell us just how fantastic the weather is this weekend. Is that right, Simon?
Do you know what? It is actually. It's looking pretty good for flying. It's still going to be cold, though, so you're going to need to keep your flowery shirts in the wardrobe, I'm afraid, just like mine is. But let me just show you what's going on Saturday, first of all. We've got a northerly wind. Now, that's great news for flying because it means we're going to get some blue skies, but we are going to see some showers down the eastern coast. Look how close together the isobars are there. That means it's going to be quite breezy. Gusts probably 25 knots across parts of East Anglia, so not so great there. And that's where most of any showers will be. However, as you come further westwards, conditions improve. And I think we're going to be looking at typical cloud bases around 3,000 feet tops, probably around 12 to 15,000 feet. And it looks as if further west, yes, there'll be a few showers around, but very good visibility, 30 to 40 kilometres, if you can avoid those showers. Just one thing to note, far southwest of England may get some spots of rain coming through with that little area of low pressure being quite close by. Now, for Sunday, ridge of high pressure is across the country. It's a very, very slack airflow on Sunday. It's good for flying, though. I think we are going to be finding most of the country is dry, good spells of sunshine. Base is about 4,000 feet with well-broken cloud, tops at about 8,000 to 10,000 feet. The exception, again, is going to be East Anglia, perhaps the far southeast of England. Notice that proximity of the occluded front. That means some cloud. It means some outbreaks of rain or showers. Base is about 2,000 feet, tops about 10,000 feet, close to that. But I think it's going to be the extremities of the east of East Anglia and southeast England that really see any kind of detrimental effect on flying. But elsewhere, it looks like we're good to go with mostly light winds across the country on Sunday. Good visibility as well. The weather couldn't have timed it any better. Enjoy it if you can get out there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
All right, isn't it? See, I told you I'd have a word for you, and look what happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going away this weekend, so I won't be able to go flying. Oh.
Never mind. I'll see what I can do next week for you.
If you could. Thank you very much, Simon.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll see you next week. And don't forget your weather school plug. Go to weather school if you haven't been already, people. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. Go to weatherschool.co.uk. All the detail of the courses is on there. And it'd be great to have you along. If you go to the website, you'll see the latest dates for the courses on there.
Fantastic. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
As Clear of Cloud pointed out, he's like, Simon's in a fleece. That can't be good.
Very, very true. He's probably still got shorts on under the desk there.
Maybe. I'm sure that shirt is just out of frame somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's behind glass. It's like break glass for warm weather.
Fly a live stream. Sartorial advice for pilots.
Yes. You don't want to take that from us.
No, absolutely.
Right,
Dave. News.
Okay, right. Well, Diamond have not a new two-seater. They've relaunched their two-seater, the DA20. They're putting the 125 horsepower Continental engine in. But the real difference is the avionics. They put Garmin G500 avionics in there, and it's really aimed at the training market. More likely to be for the US training market, but there's quite a few of them around. They've looked up 7 million flight hours, the DA20, over the last 20 years.
Wow.
It's actually more than 20 years. 1992 it was first launched, so nearly 30 years. So they've looked up a lot of flight hours, mostly in flight schools, and pretty well thought of generally. There you go. You can see the cockpit there. It's the bright G500 with a range of extra instruments alongside. It's clear for day VFR. It's also cleared for spin training as well.
So unusually for a Diamond, we actually know how much this one's going to cost, don't we? Because they normally keep that secret.
Well, they've only announced the price in the States.
Yeah,
they've only announced a price in the States, which is $227,000.
which for a trainer isn't bad.
No, yeah, I know. It sounds, if you say it quickly, it's about just over half the price of a 172.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't use the G3X Touch, to be honest.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Oh wow.
Well, yep.
There you go. There you go.
Going back to the news, a team of electric aircraft enthusiasts in Switzerland have set a bunch of records using a pipistrel Electro aircraft. They flew it from an airfield deep in the Alps, just southeast of Zurich, all the way to the north coast of Germany to an island called Norderney. I don't know quite why they chose that, but anyway, they did, and they made it. They did it over 3 days. They had to have a pair of cars with electric chargers leapfrogging ahead of them, so to make sure that they could recharge the aircraft. Not being much of an infrastructure at the moment for recharging electric aircraft, so they've set a whole bunch of records. They wanted to set 7, but when they got to Norderney, the weather was pants, so they couldn't do the final 2. So that's it. That's the electric aircraft people.
I guess at the moment it's fairly easy to set new electric aircraft records.
It is, because no one's set them before, therefore.
But you've got to start somewhere.
You just have to start somewhere, yes.
Yeah, no, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Interestingly, the aircraft is actually being in use in a flight school in the Swiss Alps. This guy has set up a flight school there that just uses the pipistrel Velis Electro.
Okay, there's if you go on the Flyer forum, there's one of the forum members. Is it in
Sweden?
You know this. Where is it?
Sweden.
Sweden. There's actually a guy posting about their experiences running the Velis Electro as a trainer, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's a very cool thread.
It's a great thread.
Forum for.
Yeah, if Sweden wasn't quite so far away and was easier to get to these days and easier not to quarantine on the way back, it would be very tempting to pop over and have a look at that, wouldn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
What else we got, Dave?
I'd rather go to the Swiss Alps. Anyway, also in the news, TBM, the single engine turboprop, is they just made their 1000th TBM. This is a TBM 940. The series started with the TBM 700 and has basically had a bit more power added and a lot more avionics and a lot more features. The TBM 940 is the flagship of the range, and this one's going to an owner-operator, a bloke who flies himself in New York, and he's going to get the aircraft next week, I think. You have a fascinating fact about TBM, don't you, Ian?
I do. I've just posted a question on the.
Oh, yes, so you have. Yeah.
You posted a question in the comments. Is it? And how old is the TBM now? Because was that 80? Was it launched in something like 86 or 87?
I want to say 84 actually, but
really, are you sure?
No, that's why I said I want to say it. I wasn't actually going to say it.
But it's one of those airplanes that the design has stayed pretty timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it always it makes me laugh when you see the fact that they've created their own category for it by going, we have an aeroplane in the very fast turbine category.
The very fast turboprop.
Yes,
Yeah.
which makes me want to come up with something where I can go along and stand and unveil my ludicrously fast turboprop.
That'll probably be Epic's next.
Yeah, Epic could do that.
Yeah, there'll be a few others, won't there?
I think it's to make it stand out against a certain rival from Pilatus, which probably wins the very large turboprop competition.
Every time I think of the PC-12, it's just like, what can I put in through that huge door? It's like,
Yes.
I probably can't get my quad bike in my TBM.
What's that Australian? I think it's Australian turboprop they use for a lot of parachute jumping. That's got the kind of cranked wings like the.
The PAC 750.
Yeah, so that'd be you'd have the very fast turboprop, the very big turboprop, and then the
very ugly
the very ugly turboprop.
Yes, that's actually New Zealand. That one, the Australian one is the air van,
which is only slightly less ugly.
And is that not Indian these days anyway?
Yeah, that was called by Mahindra, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
We've got a little item here about alternative fuels for big players. Basically, Airbus, here we are, have made this announcement this week where they're looking at airliners burning hydrogen as a fuel instead of Jet A. And they reckon they can have these aircraft in the air by 2035, as working airliners. There are very different styles here. They put forward three concepts. The one in the front has got a blended wing. I'll come back to that in a second. The one actually closer to the camera is a turbo prop. The one furthest away is a turbo fan. The idea being a turbo fan could do long haul, the turbo prop could do short haul. But one of the problems with hydrogen, although it's got a higher energy density than Jet A, it also requires more volume. So for the same amount of energy, you need more volume. And you've got to think where you're going to put all that volume, and putting it in the wings alone probably isn't going to be enough. Hence the blended wing, where you've got more volume inside the aircraft. That's
and two coffins on the back, by the looks of it.
Well, interestingly, if you look closely at the two airliners at the back, the windows stop just after the wing. So I presume there's a huge tank in the fuselage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
good spot.
Yep.
Good spot.
I know. You've got to pay attention.
I know. Yeah. So, what else have we got? Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of breaking news, isn't? Well, I don't know if it's breaking news.
But you're going to break it.
We're going to break it anyway. We were told it. We weren't told it was a secret, and I think other people have been told it before. But Rachel Gardner-Poole, who heads up the UK's GA, the UK CAA's GA unit, is about to head off on a little secondment for I think 6 to 8 months to go and reorganise parts of the UK Space Agency. So she still loves GA. She's coming back to the CA unit, and there's going to be an interim replacement to look after it while she's not there. So I hope that wasn't a secret. If it is, it's out now. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I've got Rachel on the phone here, Ian.
Is that where we need that Charlie Brown style?
We do, absolutely. Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the bit that you've all been waiting for, I'm sure, the new cheesy 80s TV game. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Wow.
There you go. What an intro. What an intro. So
high production values definitely there.
Sorry?
High production values.
Very high production. It took me like at least 3 minutes to do that.
Tell us about your game show.
So here we go. The game show. Here you've got 6 politicians, and the questions we're going to ask you are: so who are they? That's where you got some numbers. Answers in the comments. What do they have in common? Again, answers in the comments. And who's the odd one out? Again, answers in the comments. So how are we doing in the comments section then, Ed? Because I can't see it from here.
Chris Cooper says, "My only escape from politics ruined."
Sorry, Chris.
everyone can guess. Well, I say everyone. 2 people have guessed Grant Shapps.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone? Any others?
Number 1 is Julie Andrews, which would have been my guess.
Pretty close, actually. Yeah.
It's a pretty good one, Julie Andrews.
Richard Ramsey says number 2 is my local MP, Robert Court, who's a big fan of Bryce Norton. Hopefully not their airspace.
Yes, no, absolutely. Robert Court is the MP for Whitney. So he's got Brighton and Oxford in his constituency, I guess.
Yeah.
Any other guesses?
There was. They're all in the APPG.
No.
Grant Shapps is the only real nun. I'm not sure about that one, but
No.
are you going to put us out of our misery?
I am going to put you out of your misery. So the people you are looking at. So let's start with the odd one out. The odd one out is Grant Shapps, because Grant Shapps is the Secretary of State for Transport, and he has never been, as far as I know, the aviation minister. Whereas the others, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, have all been aviation ministers. So starting with number 5, that's Liz Sugg, Baroness Liz Sugg, no less. She was made a life peer. She was basically one of Cameron's advisors, and when Cameron left, he kind of made her a life peer, and she became the aviation minister. I can't remember when she started, but she stopped being the aviation minister in April 2019. She was followed by Julie Andrews, number 1, whose real name is Charlotte Vere, and she's also a baroness. Well, I think strictly she's a baroness in waiting, because she's a whip in the Lords or something. Julie Andrews with a whip, eh?
And she had to go and do a musical. So who was next?
So she left in July 19, and she now does buses and taxis or something. And Liz Sugg is now the Minister for Overseas Territories, if anyone's interested. Julie Andrews was replaced by number 3, which is Paul Maynard, who's the MP for Blackpool North. He lasted until February 2020. I think he's just a run-of-the-mill MP. Paul was replaced by number 4, who's Kelly Tolhurst. She's the MP for Rochester and Strood, and she lasted until very recently, September. She is now Minister for Rough Sleeping, apparently. And the number 2, the remaining one, is Robert Courts, and he has been for the last few days the new aviation minister, and he's the MP for Whitney. So there you go. Wow. There ends the
political lesson.
There ends the political thing.
Thomas Bennett says, "Is Grant the only one on an NREG?"
I think Grant is the only one who flies, but yes, he's the only one on an NREG. And on a slightly serious note, we've kind of managed to interview a couple of them, and some of them haven't been there long enough to actually grab an interview before they've moved on. And it's kind of easy to take the mickey out of MPs and politicians, and why not? But I have to say, Liz Sugg, the very first one there, she was pretty impressive. Very, very, very sharp cookie. Anyway, moving on. What's next? Something lighter.
It's got to be Fancy Hanger. I've got to point out, Ed Ludlow said, "No end of game jingle, poor show."
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just thinking that. I was going, I can't play that one again, can I?
No, don't do it. Move on.
I'll do better
next
week.
Fantasy Hanger.
Fantasy Hanger. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Fantasy Hanger so far. Week 1, we picked the perfect bimbling aeroplane, which was me with a Piper Cub. Week 2 was the best tourer, which was won by Dave with the fantastic Bonanza. The personal speedster, again, a good win by me with the fantastic little pocket rocket, the Poland Special. Ian came up trumps with in favourite kit with the Panther, which a lot of people loved. Favourite aerobatic aeroplane to go in the Fancy Hanger was my pick of the Jungmeister, which was massively supported. And last week, when it came to microlight, it was the P&M Quick, which was Dave's choice. And as Dave won, Dave gets to go first with this week's Fancy Hanger entry. And we went for warbirds this week. So which warbird would you put in your Fancy Hanger? And I've got a feeling Dave is going to need to make his hanger really quite large.
So hang
Yes.
on a sec, Dave. You can't talk about this yet. You need to see this first.
Okay.
I can see you like a little maestro with all your buttons behind there.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take up the whole hangar with my
Yeah.
Lancaster. It's got, why wouldn't you choose a Lancaster? What else could you choose? It's got 4 Rolls-Royce Merlin engines. It's V12, all producing about 1,200 horsepower. It makes a fantastic noise for a start. There are so many things you can do with it. If you ever seen the cockpit of a Lancaster, there's so much going on. And you know what? I did a little bit of research on this, believe it or not. And most of them are always flown by one pilot. The guy sitting next to him in the other seat was not a pilot. He was a flight engineer. And so, there was one guy sitting in the left seat, flew the thing the whole damn time. And so he had control of all those things. And it has room for 7 people if you take the full crew complement. So right up front, there's a bomb aimer or nose gunner, the pilot, the flight engineer next to the pilot, the navigator who sits behind you behind a curtain, the wireless operator. Thank God somebody else has to do the wireless.
With the word wireless. That's a radio. To younger people listening, that's a radio without crystals in it.
Anyway, and there's
people, anyone more than the Bonanza.
I have to say, it's not very fast, the Lancaster. The cruise speed is 170 knots, which is why when you're flying to the deepest Germany and back, it takes 12 hours. You wouldn't fly to deepest journey these days. Anyway, they don't fly very high either, 21,000 feet, just high enough to get freezing cold. Anyway, that's what I would buy. That would be my fantasy hangar.
I've got to admit that's as big party planes go, but you can take a lot of people with you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Probably put a barbecue in it too. That's quite a good thing. Ian, what did you pick?
I'm going to just add a quick unscheduled plug here for East Kirkby. If anyone here has not been to East Kirkby is a destination that is well worth going to. I believe it's open at the moment, but check. But they've got Just Jane the Lancaster in there, which they taxi from time to time. Absolutely fantastic little museum, great little cafe, great place to fly into. Seriously, it's just a fantastic place to spend a day. So, as you're right, I have all the buttons and all the power. I gave myself the ability of choosing 2 airplanes this week. I didn't tell you about this, but there you go. So my first one's a Corsair, just because it looks so bloody beautiful. This one's up for sale for 3.45 million. I reckon you could probably negotiate a bit. I know everyone would expect people to go for the Spitfire and stuff like that, but this is pretty damn special. It's kind of been an airplane that I've admired really since I was a kid. But actually, you know what? I'm going to change and I'm going to go for this.
Lysander.
And there's a reason. It's clearly not as good looking at all. It's not as elegant at all, and it's certainly not as fast. But I can get my head round. I wouldn't do it, but I can get my head around sort of, flying to France in the evening and landing a bit of bush flying in fields and stuff. It's kind of a lot closer to to everyone's experience, really, than a Corsair.
It's like a giant 180.
It's like a giant 180. There you go. And it probably tries to kill you a bit more than a 180, I would imagine.
I think the Lysander had a great reputation for probably even when you walked out to it, it tried to swat you. So,
so I go for a kind of slightly off the wall Lysander. Ed.
Yeah, Ed Ludlow said the Lysander also ticks the bimbling box.
It does. There you go. So I've got 2 chances.
I've got to say, so far there's been a lot of votes for mosquitoes. Only one person, I think only one person has voted for a Stuka. That's quite a good choice. You could certainly announce your arrival with that. Lysander has proved very popular.
Yes.
However, I think when you're going for a warbird, you want something where you can turn up and you can guarantee that you'll definitely have something that's completely unique. So,
you want yours on screen, Ed?
For that reason, I went for
dun, dun, dun.
the twin Mustang. So, okay, you can only carry one other person, but at least you can carry one other person. And in COVID times, you can be completely responsible and you can put them completely out of your reach in another fuselage. And you can guarantee that for now you can turn up at any fly-in and there'll be no one else like you. So I just think this is a fantastic machine. It's currently for sale at the moment for a mere $12 million. But you know, you could go for your Mosquito. It's kind of similar, but there's other people with Mosquitoes, so this keeps you nice and unique.
There's also a Mosquito at East Kirkby as well.
That's it. Yeah, I have to admit though, if it was a limited budget and a real world thing that I might have some idea of maybe eventually getting behind the controls, I've always fancied a Hurricane because I think they're kind of the perfect embodiment of accessible warbird.
I like that you're calling that real world with a limited budget.
That's it. Yes.
I thought you were going to get a chipmunk or something.
Yes. Yeah. Oh no. And straight away, I've been shot down. Andy Kennedy said, but it never fought. Ergo, not a warbird. I don't think I'm going to win. If I had to take a guess, I would say Dave might win this.
No, I'm going to get to the document first. I'm due a win.
Your course. I'm Corsair. I've always liked those. I think.
I think you should have stayed with the Corsair.
Really?
I could have backed that as a winner.
You've got to be true to your roots, haven't you?
But does it mean if you have a Lysander, we have to go and put out pots of paraffin and candles in the strip, and for when you want to land and stand around in dodgy raincoats and say,
hello.
Comment allez-vous? And things like that.
I think there was you only have to put out 3 lights, don't you, for a field landing in a Lysander, I believe.
Well, I guess it's how many times you want to use the aeroplane again. I
no.
land in a dark field once.
Yeah.
With no light.
In a dark and hostile field once. That would be.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a great. Yeah. Anyway, so fantastic airplane. So vote Lysander, people, when you get a chance somewhere.
Yeah.
Dave.
Okay. Events. Now, there's been so many cancellations, but there are a few things taking place. I checked these today, and they were still going to happen. There's the Battle of Britain Air Show at Headcorn on the 25th, 26th. That's tomorrow and Saturday. Fenland are having an autogyro fly-in and also a pie fly-in. You don't mean to say you fly in a pie. It means you fly in and you get a pie. They're on the same day on Sunday. And Old Warden, Shuttleworth Collection, they're having a drive-in de Havilland Air Show. Obviously, it's easy to. They've decided on that as their method of social distancing, but it's a fantastic lineup. They've got an insect fest, as I called it: moths, dragonflies, queen bee, plus the dragon rapide, comet, and I've never seen these guys, but I'd love to. The red sparrows. They're a display team that fly chipmunks.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. And then Shuttleworth have absolutely nailed the whole socially distanced air show kind of setup with the drive-in thing. You drive in, you get your set piece of space. Everyone it stays nice and safe, gets entertained, and everyone I know who's been to one has said how fantastic it's been. So Shuttleworth stays completely within the rule of 6. So,
and the weather's supposed to be good on Sunday, so sounds like it'd be a good show.
Yeah.
And I think Shuttleworth is another. Again, I'm sure everyone's been to the Shuttleworth, but if you haven't been to Shuttleworth, that's another great fly-in destination as well.
It's amazing. Paul Kittle has reminded us Old Warden still has the odd slot to fly in for the show. He's booked in.
Excellent.
Take your lead if you want to fly in. Book a slot now. I think that gets you a really good seating position because you get to sit with your airplane or something. So
cool.
In the current fly-in, drive-in kind of thing.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we've got about a minute and a half to go, apparently, according to this. So, do you want to give us a quick magazine update, Ed? This is
I can give you a quick magazine update. We're just finishing off the November issue. So, in that issue, which is out next Tuesday, we got a really cool feature about the guys who go to work and fly at 70,000 feet and above. So, it's the U2 pilots who operate out of Fairford. Who you might be surprised to discover, actually, a whole bunch of those guys also enjoy flying a whole bunch of GA things. So we've got that. We've got a sneak peek, courtesy of our friends in a French magazine, of the Diamond DA50. And I know Ian's put together a really good feature, taking a look at the 50, the DA50, the Cirrus, and the Beech G36 Bonanza. So if you're interested in the new DA50, that's one of the first kind of looks you'll get on what that's like to fly. Pending when we make a trip to go and flight test that ourselves.
Yep.
There's a fantastic Devon and Cornwall flying adventure, courtesy of one Mr. Paul Cadell, who popped up in the comments earlier. And all the normal columns, a bunch of good news story stuff, the safety features, everything that you know and love about Flyer. So that's out next Tuesday. And
there'll also be, I'll be just as a little bit of promotion here, I'll be asking people in the column that it's about time we wrote to all of those aviation ministers and the Secretary of State for Transport that the CA really is in need of an independent ombudsman of some kind to give them some independent oversight. There are some pockets of the CA which have kind of run away a little. I mean, they're not all bad. There's some great people at the CA and they've done some great things. I'm not kind of they're all rubbish, because that's not true. But there are a couple of things that really do need some independent oversight, and I think it's about time we had it. So that's the beginning. I'm going to kick off my one-man campaign to start with.
Yeah. Read Ian's column. Carol De Sola says there were 4 slots left for Old Warden, so if you're thinking of going, book a slot tomorrow.
Or take your car.
Or take your car.
Yep.
Great. Well, I think that's about it, peeps. We're a minute over, which is great. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating, for posting. If you get a chance on Facebook tomorrow to vote for the Warbird aircraft for the Fantasy Hangar, Lysander is what you need to vote. And we will see you all next Thursday at 7:30. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
Fly safe, everyone. Cheers.
Yes.